Hello and welcome to RaceDay Nation. Hi, I'm Rob D'Amico. You're watching on Racing America. We appreciate that. You can also find us on our website at raceddaynation.com. You can find the YouTube, subscribe to that, become a member of our newsletter. You can sign up for that there as well. Also, you can follow us on social at RaceDay Nation or follow me on social at Rob D'Amico. It's ROBDAMICO. All right, welcome to the show. We appreciate you guys joining us each and every week here on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. You can, again, if you're not watching here live, you can do so on our website and catch all the shows there, racedaynation.com once again. All right, we had some racing going on this weekend. We had the NASCAR guys at Homestead-Miami Speedway. We had the trucks, the Xfinity Series, and the Cup guys all out there racing in a great track. I told you, this track is going to be one of those things where it becomes a driver's track because you really have to know how to control the truck, the cars, all the different elements on that track. You got the different lanes. It's less grip at this place. I think it's a driver's track. You know how Atlanta was one of those tracks that these drivers used to go to? The track was tore up. It was hard to drive. These cars were hard to handle, but they got the job done. And you can see the guys that were better at driving a car and having the better setup, if you will, for their style of racing could do better. This is one of those places, and I love seeing it. I do honestly like the different lanes you can choose. You see how the guys will drive up against the wall here, or they will drop down to the bottom line. They make anything that works between their style and what the car is giving them at the time, because also the tires go away pretty quick at this track. So it was a handful for some of these guys. And I got to give props to F1. They were at Austin, Texas for the USGP out there, United States Grand Prix. So, and I got to give props to Texas, the Austin crowd, and what they've done there. 450,000 people at that track over the course of the weekend. Great job. I'm so impressed with F1's got going on with the crowds, getting people there, the corporate side of things where they're getting the corporate events going out there, the hospitality, and just all the things that are going on, the concerts that are there, you know, the stars that show up. I mean, they are putting on one hell of a show. And I'm going to talk about that coming up later on in the program because I want to hear from the race fans out there. We know what IMSA is doing with the new cars and what they're bringing to the table. You see what IndyCar has been trying to do with the different tracks, the ovals, the road courses, and just doing different things. And the 500, obviously, is always going to be a big race for those guys. NASCAR, on the other hand, what are they doing? What are they going to do? And I'm going to talk about some news and rumors coming up because, you know, the manufacturers are a big part of this deal. We've had some things come out and say, hey, listen, you know, the Dodge thing seems to be falling apart. Which honestly, it sucks. It sucks because these guys, you need more manufacturers. I love watching IMSA because I can watch different manufacturers race against each other and all the different brands out there. And it's brands that we recognize and we can get in behind the wheel ourselves. So that's a big thing for me. But NASCAR with Toyota, Chevy, and then the Ford guys, not having Dodge in there, you know, it really hurts them. And listen, there's, you know, I think the Toyota president said it, that a recession is here. You got high inflation. It's not going to be good for the car market. Hopefully, these guys can hang on and stick with it and be in the series. And no NASCAR's really trying to make it where they can afford, you know, staying in the sport. But I question what they're going to be able to do and how they're going to bring a show to these events to make this I know the Coliseum did well last year, but I was a little disappointed to see the crowd at Homestead-Miami Speedway, knowing what the Miami GP did there not too long ago. And there are race fans in that city, but they're not making it to the track. What's not driving them there? Is the entertainment value not there with the racing itself? Are they not, you know, having concerts at track, or there's not things to do for the kids? Is it costing too much? I don't know. What's keeping you from going to a NASCAR race and these stands not being full? I do want to hear from you, and you can shoot me an email at the following address, rob@racedaynation.com, and I'll answer those and I'll talk about them here on the show. So please feel free. Send me an email. Let's talk about it. Coming up, we are going to talk about the big incident that happened between Kyle Larson and Martin Truex Jr. He came in the pits leading the race, came out backwards in pit lane because of Kyle. We're going to get into that. We're going to break it all down. We're also going to talk about the Kyle and Bubba Wallace being suspended. So a lot going on here on the program. We're going to hear from Noah Gragson, a winner of the Xfinity, with Ty Majesty, winner in the Truck Series, and also Kyle Larson being the winner with the Cup Series, guys. We're going to hear from all those. And the Constructors Championship came down to this race at the USGP and F1. So all that is on the table. Stick around. I'm Rob D'Amico. This is RaceDay Nation. This is RaceDay Nation. Welcome back to the show. We do appreciate you stopping by. Listen, I got a new sponsor this week that I want to talk about here on the show. It's HMSmotorsports.com. Check those guys out because, man, they got some cool equipment on their site available for you, the racers out there. They got apparel, helmets, harnesses, head and neck restraints, seats, car equipment, hydration and cooling, race comm, everything you need, data acquisition. It's all there on their website. I want you to go and check them out. HMSmotorsport.com. That's right. So please go visit them. New sponsor here in the program, and we do appreciate it. Again, I'm Rob D'Amico. Thank you so much for tuning in today. All right. We were talking about it before the break about Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Larson getting into it on pit lane. And it was twofold because what happened is a caution came out. I think it was for Tyler Reddick, hit the inside wall, ruined his day. He had to, leave the race, unfortunately for him. So the caution comes out. They all get on pit lane. They're all coming down. It's bumper to bumper. And usually you have a guy that'll drop out of line and then go to his pit. Well, I think Martin Truex Jr., and this was explained after the race, that at the time you really couldn't tell. The guys were questioning it on television, whether he, didn't see his pit stall. The sun's right in your face as you're coming down pit lane. Kyle's going to explain that here in a second. But what ended up happening is Kyle got in the back end of Martin Truex Jr., spun him around into his pit backwards. Luckily, no one was hurt. The guy dropped the jack. They dropped tires. All the pit crew guys got out of the way, so nobody was hurt physically on pit lane. They were able to make the stop and get back out on the track. Unfortunately, he didn't come. He went in as the leader, did not come out as the leader. So very unfortunate for him. So here is Kyle in the press box after talking about this incident because it was brought up. Hey, what did you see happen? And listen, he didn't even get to hear the interview that Martin Truex Jr. did on TV. So here he is explaining his side of that story.
Yeah, from my perspective, I mean, I'm just running my pit road speed. I'm running my lights. I'm trying to stay on those as consistent as I can. And I think I had a few feet from my front bumper to his rear bumper. And, usually you peel off and you're still in the gas. Until you got the guy's got a lane to go by, and he started to peel off, and then all of a sudden he slammed on the brakes, and I hit him. I didn't really have any time to react. I was so close to him, so I didn't know at the time if he was trying to get me to check up and play games or anything, but it sounded like he just misjudged where his pit stall was. I haven't heard his comments or anything, but I hope that's what happened because, I'm just running my pit road lights. They're not counting me into his pit stall, so I'm just trying to maintain what I'm doing. And he got to the brakes really hard, and hate that I spun him because he had a great day going and a great car, but just unfortunate.
Definitely was unfortunate, but you heard him here explain it. He was just like, listen, I don't know if he was playing games. And listen, drivers don't play games on pit. Oh, they do? Oh, okay. No, we know they play games constantly. They're always playing tricks on each other, trying to, on the restarts, hold back a little bit, speed up, and then hold back, all those different things. They try everything to gain that little tiny bit of advantage because, listen, it pays off during the course of a race. You're, knocking off these half seconds and split seconds and like that. It helps you get to the front. And the top teams and all the top drivers do it, and they know how to do it very well. So that being said, racing incident, glad everybody's okay, and all that is set aside there. So some good stuff there, and a little insight from Kyle Larson after his win, which we'll get into here in a little bit. But I do want to talk about the truck series real quick before we go to break, because we got a lot to talk about here on the show, because they were this was their final race to get to the final 4 drivers before they head to Phoenix. So what did that look like for these guys? Well, the truck results was Ty Majesty getting the win. Congratulations to him, man. This kid's on fire right now, and it's awesome to watch. Zane Smith, another guy in that chase, I should say the playoffs. Stewart Friesen trying to, do the knockoff home run. Ryan Preece, Corey Heim, Ben Rhodes, Kristen Eckes, Matt Crafton, Parker Kligerman, and Chandler Smith round out the top 10 there. I do want to go to the press box, and we're going to hear Ty Majesty talking about that, if he was aware of the point situation as he's running up front there and getting that win.
No, I had no idea what the point situation was. I knew it had to be close. I knew the 99 had a good first stage, the 52 had a good second stage. So I knew it was close. I wasn't quite aware of what the points position were. Leading the race, that's our focus, is just trying to stay ahead of the 38, giving me gaps out back to try and maintain that gap without abusing the tires in case of a
late race caution is what he was going to say there. But he ended up getting the win. He didn't really know, what was going on. He just knew, if I get the victory, guess who's moving on and going to be that final 4 going into that championship 4, I should say, for the playoffs at Phoenix in the truck series. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a break here, because we've got a lot to talk about here on the show. And when we come back, I'm going to hear some more from Ty. We're going to look at those points. We're going to see the championship 4, and then we're going to hear from some of the Xfinity guys, the Cup guys that ended up winning, and a heartfelt race that happened in the USGP in Austin in F1 with the team Red Bull. So we'll get into all that coming up here next. I'm Rob D'Amico. This is RaceDay Nation. All right, we were talking about the Truck Series guys and how they ended up with their championship 4. I keep saying final 4, and it's not what they say. It's the championship 4. I swear it'll sink in once I get rid of and call it the playoffs and not the chase like they used to call that. So confusing. And I know, listen, I've been in the sport for many, many years covering it, and I'm sure race fans get confused just as much as I do. So hopefully they stick this one out for quite a while, and we can all get used to it finally. I know most of you are. I'm a little slow, okay? I'm a little slow. I'm okay with that. All right. Thanks for tuning back in. We appreciate it each and every week right here on Racing America. And don't forget, you can find our show also with podcasts as well on all the podcast feeds is at our website, RaceDayNation.com. All right. Let's see here. I got more Ty Majesty after his win. I do want to take a look at the points here, because this was, again, getting them to the championship 4. And you can see the top guys, Ty Majesty, with that win, gets his Toyota in the final, the championship 4. Zane Smith and his Ford, the only Ford in there. And unlike the Xfinity series, which it's pretty much all Chevys, not one Chevy in the truck series made it to the final 4 guys standing at Phoenix. Chandler Smith rounds out the top 4 with his Toyota as well. You can see John Hunter Nemechek, who had some trouble early in that race, eliminated. Stewart Friesen, Grant Enfinger, Kristen Eckes. Those guys are out in that bottom 4, and they don't move on. So again, congratulations to Ty Majesty for getting that win. And here he is in the press box talking about that after the race, about the momentum he has right now as a race car driver.
It's a new race, right? I feel like we certainly have momentum on our side, winning 2 of the last 3 here on different types of racetracks. Short track at Bristol, and then a low grip 1.5 miles like Homestead. 2 very different racetracks. I feel like just generally speaking, Joe and I have been clicking really well the back half of this season. We had good finishes early on in the year, but we've been able to consistently put whole races together throughout this back half of the year. So I can't really say who the favorite is and who isn't, but regardless, I really like my chances going to Phoenix.
I don't know. I would absolutely say I think it's a confidence thing, or maybe he's not, wanting to come off cocky, but you got to say yourself, right? That's how this works, unless he's not. And I will say, talking about that, when we get into the Xfinity stuff, you're going to hear from Noah Gragson, and I question some things here, man. Some weird things going on. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a little bit. But I do want to take a look at the Final 4 here for the Camping World Truck Series with these guys. So sorry, I was pulling something up there, but here they are. Here's your top 4, championship 4, heading the Phoenix. Again, Ty Majesty, Zane Smith, Ben Rhodes, Chandler Smith. One of those guys will be your 2022 champion in the Camping World Truck Series. All right, before we head out here, I want to finish up with Ty Majesty talking about, because now they have some time to work on that truck. And they knew when they won the race before that they were going to be in the championship 4, and then he won this race. So he's had some time to really put together. But here he is talking about what they're doing with that truck, and is it enough time that he can make something happen heading to Phoenix?
Like I said, we've been working on it, since Bristol. Obviously, the momentum is great, but we want some time to massage on it. We feel like we've had an advantage knowing that, we're going to Phoenix for about a month now. So we've been massaging on that truck. Like I said, we put obviously a full effort into this one, but I've been to the simulator, 3 times this year before the back half of this season, just for the 3 road courses. I've already been there 3 times just for Phoenix. So I haven't personally done any simulator at Homestead. So our focus has been on Phoenix, and like I said, I feel good about our chances.
Again, he's definitely, I think, going in one of the favorites just because of that momentum he's showing right now, that the team is getting it done. They're getting it done on pit lane. They're showing that their trucks are strong. So out of these 4, you got to think he's got a really good chance. I will say Zane Smith, though, he's going to be a hard competitor out there. Same thing, Ben Rhodes. These guys have been running up front each and every week. Chandler Smith, a little bit. God, I know he's been strong before and he's won some races, but he hasn't really shown it lately for me. So that's the one I question. Maybe he shows up right off the truck and they got these things dialed in. We'll have to see how it all plays out in a couple weeks at Phoenix for the Truck Series, guys. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about F1, the Cup Series. We're going to get some of the winners on here on the show. And we're also going to talk about that weird thing with Noah Gragson. Wait until you hear this audio. It's really bizarre. It's all coming up next. I'm Rob D'Amico. This is Race Day Nation. All right, welcome back. It's Rob D'Amico here, Race Day Nation on Racing America. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, I know we're going to get into some of the Cup Series stuff, the Noah Gragson things, but there's something I want to bring up from last week. We were talking about it, was the Bubba Wallace and the Kyle Larson incident that happened, and the suspension of Bubba Wallace, as I mentioned, going in. Usually Tuesdays, they drop the hammer. They did drop the hammer. He was suspended. I wasn't able to really get to talk about it on the show, but we did have some of the guys come through the media center where we got some great clips from some of these guys talking about it. But one of them is, Ryan Blaney is Bubba Wallace is one of his good friends. And he was asked about, hey, have you talked to him? What was said? What was going on? Here's Ryan Blaney in the press box talking about that.
Yeah, I spoke to him. I didn't speak about that. But, it's NASCAR's decision. It's, whatever they thought was the right thing to do in that kind of case. And that's, I don't really speak on too many instances I'm not involved in. But, that's all NASCAR's kind of judgment call. And they kind of did what they thought was fit for it.
Yeah, I think it was the right call. Listen, you can't be doing that. You can't be crashing someone out at that speed in those cars, especially right now with all the injuries that have happened, not only just in racing, but, things that we don't understand with head injuries. You see it in the NFL. We see it here in racing as well. So just, one of those things that you got to pay attention to. You got to know what's going on. And there's not a right answer or wrong answer. I mean, we just saw Kurt Busch. We had clips of him talking about an early retirement because of head injuries, things like that. So it's a serious thing. So they also asked him, hey, is racing now a little more aggressive? We got this new car. We see these guys going fender to fender. They're getting in these wrecks. Or is racing right now a little bit too aggressive, or is it getting more aggressive as we move along?
Yeah, a little bit. I feel like that's been the kind of the story all year. I feel like we've talked about it all year of, gosh, the racing has been so much more aggressive than what it has been in the past. Because I just think the emphasis on winning it's weird because, winning means the same now than what it did, in the years prior. When you win and you're in, it's just the same deal. So I think it's just, it's so hard to win, and these cars are so sturdy that you can be more aggressive with these cars, as far as laying the bumper to somebody, kind of dooring somebody. You're not going to get tire rubs and things like that. So I think that kind of plays into it a little bit. And I feel like restarts have been super aggressive because track position is so important. Like, I feel like track position now is probably the most important that it's ever been, because it's just hard to make it back through the field. And the playoffs, I don't think the playoffs have been any more aggressive than the regular season, any different than the regular season to postseason jump that we see every single year, kind of in the spike in aggression levels. So, I don't think it's been any more aggressive than I expected. Really, it's been fine in my book. So.
Yeah, I think it's been fine too. Listen, I actually thought the Miami race was a little laid back, if you will. These guys took it easy. I don't want to say, listen, they should be out there beating and banging, because they're trying to do one thing, is get the best finishing position they absolutely can, so they can move on and be in that championship 4 moving forward. So, we have aggressive drivers out there. We all know who they are. One of them is Ross Chastain. So he was in the media center, and they questioned him about getting paybacks. We did see him and Denny Hamlin riding together at Homestead-Miami Speedway. I thought in the back of my mind, could this be a payback moment? Could they take him out of that? And it didn't happen. So I saw some level-headed action on track take place. So I was pretty proud of that. But here he is talking about, does he have to worry about paybacks?
Just go race. I think that's what's so great about this sport is every 7 days we pack up, move the circus to another town, and we do it all again, right? So I feel like I'm in a good spot in the garage. The summer was definitely tough, and I learned a lot from a lot of that, and we'll continue to learn and evolve throughout this sport and this series. It's incredible to race against your heroes, but it's kind of odd and humbling when your heroes get mad at you. So it's been a learning experience for sure.
I love that. It's been very difficult when you've made your heroes mad at you. Your heroes are supposed to help you, be there for you. Not when you piss them off. That doesn't go your way, does it, Ross Chastain? So he's definitely learned some lessons there. There's no doubt about that. So continue on with Ryan Blaney in the press box talking about that situation and how NASCAR policed the situation with Bubba Wallace. And are drivers satisfied with that? Is it set the standard? What are your thoughts on that? So they asked him in the media center.
I personally think it's good that NASCAR is putting kind of the law down, right? Like to hammer down on things that they think is wrong, and they want to act. It's the only way you can kind of police it, right? You have to do those things. And at the end of the day, like I said, it's their call. If they see something that they don't like, I expect them to act on it, and they have the last couple weeks. So it doesn't approach the way I do anything. In my mind, you never think that, if I do something malicious with intent or something like that, I can get away with it. You always think there's going to be law and order. But I personally like that they're enforcing things. I think that's the way it should be, and that's why they're the sanctioning body.
Yeah, I agree with that. My thing is that I really wish you would see a more emotion on people's sleeves. Get out of the car, and if you can, go over and talk to the guy. I'm not saying go start swinging on somebody, but I do like seeing that little bit of action after a race where a guy will get out and get a question. Hey, man, why did you do this? Or what happened here? What happened on track? Maybe, with the situation with Truex Jr. and Kyle Larson hitting each other on pit lane and spinning the car around. They put people in a very dangerous situation. But listen, it was it was a racing incident. The sun was in his face. He couldn't see his pit box. He pulls off late. The guy gets in back of him and spins his car out on pit lane. He wasn't expecting it. Either was the other guy. But those two things happened at that point, and they got out afterwards and talked about it, which was, after Kyle did his thing after, winning the race. You got to go do your media requirements and things like that. So it gets very tedious after race. But I'm going to take a break. When we come back, I got one more guy we're going to hear from. Daniel Suarez is going to talk about NASCAR cracking down on this and what he thinks and He actually calls some of the drivers stupid or dumb moves and things like that. So it's pretty fun audio. I want you to hear it. It's all coming up next right here on RaceDay Nation. All right, we're going to continue our conversation. Welcome back to RaceDay Nation. I'm Rob D'Amico. This is RaceDay Nation on Racing America, which you can catch Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Don't forget, new sponsor this week. We have HMSmotorsport.com. You're going to find some great stuff, some apparel, racing apparel, gloves, suits, you name it, helmets, harness, head and neck restraint devices, seats, car equipment. You can get hydration and cooling, race comms, all that great stuff in one spot. Fire suppression, I should mention, also data acquisition. And they also have a discounted area as well. So if you're looking for stuff and you have a budget, you can go do some. Again, HMSmotorsport.com. That'll get you everything you need right there. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. This great audio from Daniel Suarez. I was talking about it before the break. Basically calling some drivers out like, you're smarter than that. Don't be such a dumbass. And here, some of these guys go out and just start playing dumbasses, right? Well, here he is. This is some great audio. I wanted to save this for him. But this is Daniel Suarez in the press room talking about some of these drivers that act out on track.
Honestly, it hasn't changed anything in the way I think or the way I do things, because in my opinion, both of those moves were extremely dumb. Both of them. And both of them, I was going to be extremely surprised if they were not penalties. Like, before even those situations happen, I will never do something like that. I mean, not that clear. You have to be smarter. I don't know what those guys were thinking, but the same thing, wrecking somebody the way that it happened last week, it's not smart, especially with everything that is happening right now. So, honestly, I'm glad that NASCAR stepped in and they were able to put everyone in their places, because it was too much.
It's all fun and games until you get in trouble and you're the dumbass. Because listen, it always happens, right? You can say this kind of thing, but when you get the emotions get the best of you, anything's possible. And you see it each and every day with these guys in the racing series. All right, we're going to move on here. I want to talk about F1 because there was a very emotional time for these guys, especially Red Bull, and Red Bull getting the win. Congratulations to Max Vestappen. But the founder of one of the co-founders of Red Bull, Dietrich Mateschitz, passed away at the age of 78. So they were racing with deep hearts, and it's just very difficult. This is a guy that has done so much, not just for motorsports, for sports in general, all over the world. Has done some amazing things with the money and the sponsorships and the marketing that he's put behind that huge monstrosity of Red Bull. So these guys going out and doing what they do best, some of the athletes that they've brought along, not just in racing, but in motorsports in general, in all different types. I mean, they freaking dropped a guy from the moon basically who landed on Earth. So they do the planes, diving competitions, hang gliding, you name it. All these extreme sports stuff, these guys have just been amazing to watch. And it was all because, he had the sight to look ahead and see the marketing ability and was able to do great things. But F1 raced on U.S. soil at Austin, Texas. Great run for those guys out there. You can see Max Verstappen getting the win there. Lewis Hamilton, second. He was actually battling, was in the lead. I got to be honest with you, the Americans like Lewis Hamilton here, and they were, cheering when he got up there, and looked like he was going to be able to pull something off. But unfortunately for him, Max Verstappen does what he does best, and that's win races. 13 of them to be exact, and I'll get into that here in a second. Charles Leclerc, third in the Ferrari. Sergio Perez, the other Red Bull. George Russell in the Mercedes. Lando Norris in the McLaren. Fernando Alonso, who finished seventh but was penalized 30 seconds, falls back to 15th in his Alpine. Sebastian Vettel and the Aston Martin finished eighth. Kevin Magnussen, those two had a great little battle on the last couple of laps in the Haas CNC car. And then Yuki Tsunoda in the AlphaTauri rounding out your top 10 there. So congratulations to those guys. And I do want to make mention here. I'm going to pull up the stats here ahead because one was the huge crowd out there. Congratulations to Austin, Texas. I'm going to get into that here in a second with NASCAR and the crowds versus the F1 crowds. Pretty amazing. But it was the 13th win for Verstappen. He ties Michael Schumacher and Vettel for the most wins in a season. So congratulations to him. He can break that record and go on, but he's got a tie right now. I think there's still 3 races left in the series, and I think he can do it. He may walk away with a record here for the season. He also sealed up the Constructors' Championship for these guys, so congratulations to the entire team for getting that and winning the Constructors' Championship. Great job on their part. I thought they put on a good show out there. They all got to ride. That's afterwards, that picture, obviously, but they all got to ride in what was called the Badillac. It was that Cadillac all with the roof off and limo sized. I mean, they put the whole damn team in there. It was pretty impressive. But the last time a driver won 2 races on U.S. soil was back in 1981. Alan Jones did it at Long Beach and Vegas. And now with Vegas coming on the schedule next year, we'll have 3 races in the U.S. So another record that maybe Max Verstappen could break coming out in the future. Lewis Hamilton was second, like I mentioned. Charles Leclerc third. I mentioned the whole Fernando Alonso penalty with that incident on track. A little scary moment, but it was all worked out. Everything was fine. Mexico is up next for these guys. So, right down the street, basically. In Mexico, they'll be racing there. And the driver of the day was Sebastian Vettel, which I thought they should have made Fernando Alonso. But now with the penalty, I understand they probably knew about all that stuff happening. But the fans voted, and Sebastian Vettel got it. He'll retire with 299 starts under his belt. So pretty amazing stuff right there. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about the Xfinity Series, Cup racing, all that stuff. I'm getting to it next. I promise. It's right here on RaceDay Nation. This is RaceDay Nation. I'm Rob D'Amico. Don't forget to check out our sponsor. Again, new sponsor this week, HMSmotorsport.com. Great racing apparel, safety equipment, you name it, all at the tip of your finger online. They also have a discount area there. If you're on a budget and racing, they got you covered. I want you to go check them out, HMSmotorsport.com. All right, let's see. I got a lot to talk about here, so let's get to it. Xfinity Series. I want to run down the race results there. Congratulations to Noah Gragson getting the win. Ty Gibbs, AJ Allmendinger. By the way, AJ is on a tear. I do look for him to make that Final Four in the Xfinity. We'll talk about that here in a second, but he also had a great day at the Cup race. Daniel Hemrick was 4th, Sam Mayer 5th, Trevor Bayne, Chandler Smith, Riley Herbst, Austin Hill, and Justin Allgaier round out your top 10 there. I want to hear from Noah Gragson, and this win was more about the challenges they have here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Listen to this.
Yeah, tonight's not about locking into the championship 4. It's about all the hardship that we've had here at Homestead. The last 3 races, I mean, straight up kicking their ass and get a caution and don't have a very good short run car in the past and getting beat or running into the back of a lapper, cords a tire with 2 to go. Felt like we probably should have 4 of them here, and we only got 1. So coming into the weekend, I really wanted to win this one more than any other race in my entire career.
I got to be honest with you. It doesn't seem that way when you talk to him, does it? He didn't seem very excited. He seemed beat down. He seemed like things weren't going his way. The guy is in the championship 4. It felt weird to me. I just couldn't figure that one out. Very difficult. So let's take a look at the points right now in the Xfinity Series. Noah Gragson with the win moves on. He is in the championship 4. Josh Berry did it last week. Congratulations to him. Up 30 points is Ty Gibbs. AJ Allmendinger back in that top 4, looking to make it once they get to Martinsville. He's only 5 points. Back 5 is Justin Allgaier, Austin Hill back 7, And then Sam Mayer and Brandon Jones will have to throw the Hail Mary there at Martinsville to see if they can pull something off and knock one of these guys out. So it's going to be very interesting coming to Martinsville. Very short track, beating and banging. So that is going to be amazing to watch. There's no doubt about that. Now, in the Cup Series, we did have the guys racing there as well. And the results look like this. Kyle Larson did get the win. We mentioned that. Ross Chastain, great run for him. He is on it, man. I'm so impressed. New guy, new team in the sport, just kicking ass. And it's fun to watch. AJ Allmendinger, as I mentioned in the Xfinity Series, he will be moving up to Cup next year, sitting there in third. Austin Dillon, Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr. It's supposed to be Martin Truex Jr. Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, and Daniel Suarez round out the top 10 there. Now, the big thing was when Kyle got out of the car and he won the race, he talked about the speech that Cliff Daniels gave him before the race. Here is Cliff talking about that before we take the break.
My words today were focus and discipline, and it takes a lot of focus and a lot of discipline to run the fence for all the laps that he did, and it takes a lot of focus and discipline to go through 7 or 8 pit stops like we did today, and the guys had a phenomenal day on pit road. So that was really the moral of it, because he knows we've had great race cars. I know we've had great race cars, and for whatever reason, somewhere along the way, it's been a little mistake over here in this department, and then we fix that, and then we come back over here and have a little mistake over here, and we just needed a day to get it all right, and finally did.
Well, they finally did, and I can tell you what that speech sounded like. Hey, you bunch of jackasses, we're not in the playoffs anymore, but let's make people notice we're still here. That's what that speech was all about. All right, we take a break here, come back. We're going to run down more of the Cup Series, going to hear from Kyle Larson and some more right after the break. Stick around. I'm Rob D'Amico. This is RaceDay Nation. You're watching RaceDay Nation. I'm Rob D'Amico. Let's get back into it. Cup racing. We did the final results. We're going to look at points right now and see where they stand with the breakdown of all things going on at Homestead-Miami Speedway. And after the race, Joey Logano, with his win last week, gets him in the championship 4. Ross Chastain now 19 points to the good. Chase Elliott 11 points to the good. And William Byron right there 5 points to the good. So who's in the bottom 4? Well, Denny Hamlin, he's 5 points back, can pull it off. And listen, he almost did it at the Homestead-Miami Speedway as well. Ryan Blaney, he's back 18 points. Got to really make something happen to make up those points. And Christopher Bell and Chase Briscoe, another one of those guys that have to throw that Hail Mary to make anything happen. So here's Kyle Larson after the race talking about, listen, he's not going to a championship 4, but he is racing with this win for the Owners' Championship. Check it out.
Glad that we were able to win today. And, like last year we won the first race of this round. And then today we won this round, or this race of this round, and haven't had to quite worry about Martinsville. So, thankful for that. And too, with the bad points day that we had last week as well, I felt not that we were in a must-win to make it to the owner's title part of it, but we needed to have a great day, and we were able to win both stages, and didn't want to screw that up at the end of this race either, but I knew winning was going to be the most important thing to not have to worry about next week.
Well, you did that. There's no doubt about that. And you didn't screw up anything and made it happen. So that's all the positive there, my man. Congratulations to the entire team. Whatever the speech was, motivated them, got the job done. So we're looking at the playoffs again with the championship 4, and William Byron was able to get in, up 5 points, as I mentioned. Here's William talking about what he needs to do and how he got there to make it to this point.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be the same. I think it's good to be where we are in the position we're in, and I just try not to stress out. So just try to approach it the same, and I'm going to drive as hard as I can regardless of the situation, and I'm just going to rely on my team to make me situationally aware of kind of who I'm racing for what, and the easiest way to do it would just be to win, and that's what we try to do all the time, but definitely this time of year it's really critical.
He seems like one of these guys, it's glass half full, half empty. I don't care, whatever it is, right? It just seems like he doesn't give two craps about anything. He's just like, if it happens, I get there, Maybe they play it cool. I don't know. But behind the scenes, he's not sleeping at night. His stomach doesn't feel well. He's getting in the car going, whoop, time to go to the bathroom. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Tony Stewart. We got some other news and rumors in the world of racing. And I'm going to make mention about the NASCAR versus F1. And the crowds we saw this weekend in Austin, Texas were just phenomenal. So stick around. I want to hear from you. I'm going to give out my email address here so you can interact with the show as well. I'm Rob D'Amico. This is RaceDay Nation. This is RaceDay Nation. I'm Rob D'Amico. Don't forget, please check out our new sponsor here on the program, HMSmotorsport.com. You can get the latest products in apparel, suits, gloves, you name it, helmets, harnesses, head and neck devices, seats, car equipment, hydration and cooling, race comms, fire suppression, data acquisition. And they also have a cool little section there if you're on a budget and you're in racing. And listen, we all need to be on a budget. There's no doubt about that. They have a discounted items as well. So you could check those guys out. And again, proud to have them on board. HMSmotorsport.com is the sponsor there. So congratulations to them for coming on board. Hope we get some more of those guys like that here on the show. And don't forget, you can check us out on the website, RaceDayNation.com. The show, the podcast, all the news and rumors. It's all up there. Speaking of news and rumors, how about Tony Stewart making his NHRA debut in the Lucas Oil Series? We'll see him out there making his debut. This is a guy who's won championships in NASCAR, in IndyCar, in USAC, you name it. Whatever he gets behind the wheel, the guy can get it done. Congratulations to him to see him behind one of the fastest cars you'll ever get in that short amount of time. So it'll be pretty neat to see how he does and where he takes this in the future. Because, listen, like I've said, I love watching these guys do different disciplines in racing, whether it's, 2 wheels, 4 wheels, dirt, ovals, road courses, street courses, whatever it may be, open wheels, you name it. I love watching them get in and out. And speaking of that, did you see Mario Andretti at the USGP getting the opportunity to get behind the wheel of McLaren? Another guy also got behind the wheel of a McLaren out there in one of the practices, Alex Palou. Congratulations to him. That was pretty cool to see for his race, or I should say the practice. But he did a great job out there as well. All right, I want to hear from you. NASCAR crowds, is it too expensive? Is it not exciting anymore? What's the deal? What's keeping you from these tracks? We saw at Austin, Texas with the F1 guys that they had 450,000 people there, which is amazing to see. I don't care where you're at. That's a lot of people. I mean, we always see the Indy 500, get about 300,000, 350,000, but 450,000 people over the weekend. Pretty damn impressive. Email me. What is going on? What keeps you from a NASCAR track? Rob at RaceDay Nation. That's my email address. Check us out on the web, RaceDayNation.com. I will see you guys next week.